Hi everyone, welcome back. In the previous video, we learned the for loop, which is very useful when we know how many times a loop should run. But sometimes we don't know the number of iterations in advance. For such cases, Java provides while loop and do while loop. So let's see what is while loop and do while loop in Java. So why do we have multiple loop types in Java? So different loops exist because different situations require different control. Example, for loop, we'll have fixed number of iteration, whereas while loop, condition based loop, whereas do while run at least once. So for loop will have a fixed number of iteration, while loop condition based loop, and do while run at least once. For loop is already explained in the previous video. Now in this video, let's see while loop and do while loop with examples. Let's start with while loop. So a while loop repeats a block of code as long as a condition is true. Okay, let's see the syntax. Syntax for while loop: while condition inside braces code to repeat. Okay, so let's see this with an example. While will have a condition here inside this block of lines, right? Let's take one example. So if int I equal to 1, while the condition, let's say if I is less than or equal to 3, then print I here. And since there is no increment or decrement condition here in the while loop, we have to write the increment condition inside the loop itself. That is I plus plus I'll write here, and then I'll close the braces. So let's see the execution flow here. First, it takes I equal to 1, and second, it checks for the condition, and third will be once the condition is checked, that is 1 is less than or equal to 3, and if it's true, then execute the code. Okay, and then increment I, that is also comes under the execution code, but we should remember that we need to update the I so that the loop condition fails. Okay, and the fifth will be repeat all the steps till the condition is false. Okay, so let's quickly check that with example. So initially first I will be 1 here, so the first point will be I equal to 1, and then it checks for the condition, which is I is less than or equal to 3, which will be true here. Hence it prints I, that is 1 will be printed, and then increment I by 1, which I becomes 2 here, and then repeat. So repeat again, this first statement is outside of the loop, so it comes here. It checks for the condition first, then if 2 equal to less than or equal to 3, yes, it's true, and then prints 2 here and increments by 1, that is 3 here. That will be the fourth step, and then repeat. Then again checks for the condition. If 3 is less than or equal to 3, yes, it's equal to 3, right? So it still says true here, prints 3 and increments by 1, which is 4, and when the 4 comes here, I is 4 now. 4 is less than or equal to 3, no, it falls. It will end the loop. Let's check this with example in IntelliJ. Let's write the main method first, and then let's write while inside main method, and here int I equal to 1, and the condition can be I is less than or equal to 5. I'll take here and print I, and then don't forget to increment I here. Okay, that's the extra step in the while loop, whereas in the for loop we had here itself, right? So we don't have to worry about the update of the I. Here at the end we have to always increment or decrement the I. Okay, let's run this. So it prints 1 to 5 here as expected. So when it becomes 6, the execution comes out. I'll print end of the program. Okay, and then I'll try to run this in the debug mode here. So first time I equal to 1, I1 is printed here, and I plus plus y becomes 2 here, and then same again it becomes 3, 4, it's still true. If you see, it shows here equal to true, then it just comes inside 5, yes, I is equal to 5, and then I becomes 6 and it becomes false and it comes out of the loop. I'll add one more here. Yeah, see, it comes out of the loop and the execution is done here. Okay, so this is how it prints 1 to 5 and it ends the program there. Okay, let me remove all the debugging points here. If we have to reverse the loop, so it's printing 1 to 5, right? I have to print 5 to 1. So initially I will be 5 and I should be greater than or equal to 1 here, and then here I have to do I minus minus. Okay, so and you print till I is greater than or equal to 1. So let's run this. Yeah, so 5 is printed in reverse order. Let's debug this here and then here. Okay, let's debug this. Initially 5, I equal to 5 and it becomes 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it finally becomes 0 and comes out of the loop. Okay, when I is 0. And let's stop this. So this is how the while loop works, and let's go to the next part of the video, which is do while loop. So do while loop. So a do while loop always executes the body at least once, even if the condition is false. Let's check this with example and syntax. Let's start with syntax first. I'll comment this code and then I'll just write the syntax for do while. Do code to repeat, and at the end of the braces add while inside condition, and don't forget the semicolon here. So this is the syntax for the do while loop. Okay, now let's take the same example, printing 1 to 5 using do while this time. Int I equal to 1 and the condition will be I is less than or equal to 5, and print I here. Also increment I by 1. Okay, just printing 1 to 5 here. So let's see how it works. Yeah, so 1 to 5 is printed here. So we can also try to debug quickly here the condition, and then here. So initially I is 1 and it becomes 2 and the condition is true here, and then I prints condition, it checks I equal to true, I mean the condition is true, and then when I becomes 6 the condition becomes false and comes out of the loop. Okay, the important difference between while and do while is, so in the while if you see, it checks for the condition in the beginning of the iteration, whereas it checks at the end of the iteration, that is after executing the block of code it checks for the condition. So here both prints 1 to 5, right? So in which cases it makes a difference, I'll show you with one example. Let's say I equal to 10 here, and here I'll say if I is less than or equal to 5, then print I here. Okay, so what happens here? It prints 10 one time, as the loop always execute the body at least once. Okay, so that's why what happens, before even checking the condition it runs and just prints it, and I becomes 11 and checks for this condition, it's false and it comes out of the loop. So the same condition what happens with while loop is, I'll remove I here. So the same condition I'll add, if I is less than or equal to 5, and I'll print and also I'll increment here. Okay, if I run this, nothing is printed here because the condition itself is checked in the beginning of the loop and it never enters the code inside. Yeah, so we might end up forgetting the adding the condition inside the while loop. Okay, so what happens in that case? It always becomes a infinite loop. So if I is 0, I is less than or equal to 5, and if I run this, it always tends to a infinite loop because the 0 never updates and it always 0 and it is always less than or equal to 5. So it always prints 0, infinite loop. Same with while loop. Okay, I'll not give the increment here and then I'll run. Okay, it prints the same because the condition is always true, right? So it always keeps printing. So never forget the update condition inside a while or do while loop. And for a common interview question is difference between do and do while loop. So while checks the condition first, whereas do while runs at least once and then checks for the condition. And you can also say the condition is checked before loop, and this do while checks after executing the loop every time. Let's quickly recap what we learned today in this video. We learned how while loop works and how do while works and the difference between them. So in the next episode, we will learn control statements in loops, including break and continue. Thanks for watching.